Good day, math learners. In this video, we will talk about the concept on frequency distribution table. It is easier to make inferences out of collected data if these are organized and presented in a frequency distribution table. This is usually done when data are in great numbers called a group data. A group data can be determined if the sample population is greater than or equal to 30. The following steps in constructing frequency distribution table were already discussed in previous lessons in Mathematics 7, so there is a need to recall them. And these are the steps in constructing frequency distribution table. Step 1. Find the range. The formula in finding the range is equal to the largest quantity minus the smallest quantity. Step 2 is to determine the approximate number of classes using the Sturges formula. So we have the formula K is equal to 1 plus 3.322 logarithm of n, wherein K here is the approximate number of classes, so it refers to the number of rows, and we have log n, which is the logarithm of the total number of observations or the raw data. And we have to round off the value of K to the nearest integer. Step 3. Determine the class interval. So it is denoted by letter I. So the interval is equal to the range divided by K, which is the approximate number of classes. Step 4. We have to determine the classes starting with the lowest class, then use the smallest quantity for the lower limit of the first class. If the data are whole numbers, we have to subtract 1 from the interval, then add the difference to the lower limit to obtain the upper limit of the first class. If the data are decimal numbers, we have to subtract 0.1 from the class interval size. If these data are written to the nearest tenth. If they are written to the nearest hundredths, subtract it with 0.01. Add the interval to the lower limit and the upper limit of the first class to obtain the lower limit and upper limit of the next class. Follow this procedure until a class that contains the largest quantity is obtained. Then step 5, we have to tally the quantities. Then step 6, determine the frequency F for each class by counting the tally. Then step 7, we have to add all these frequencies. So it is denoted by summation of F. So we have this Greek symbol sigma, and it should be equal to the number of quantities in the set of data. So let us consider this example. So the following are the heights in centimeters of 35 students. So our goal here is to organize this data by constructing a frequency distribution table. So we have to follow the steps in constructing a frequency distribution table. So let's begin with step 1. We have to find the range. So first we have to look at the largest quantity and the smallest quantity from our given data. So this is now the formula in finding the range. So the largest quantity that we have in our given data is 146, and the smallest quantity is 120. Then subtract 146 and 120, our range is equal to 26. Step 2, we have to determine the approximate number of classes using the Sturges formula. So we have to use K is equal to 1 plus 3.322 log n. Then we have to substitute n with 35 since the given data has 35 students. So that is equal to 6.129. Then we have to round off this one to the nearest integer. Therefore, our k has an approximate number of classes which is equal to 6. Step 3. We have to determine the class interval I. So I can be solved using range divided by k. So that is equal to 26 divided by 6, and that gives us 4.3. Then we have to round up to the next integer, this 4.3. Therefore, our class interval is equal to 5. Then step 4, we have to construct the frequency distribution table using the given and computed values. Then followed by, we have to tally the heights. Then we have to start with the smallest quantity, 120 cm, which will be the lower limit, and use the interval of 5 that we have computed a while ago to determine the upper limit of the lowest class. So we have to start counting from 120 to the fifth number, which is 124. So we have this table here. So in our first column, we have our heading, heights in cm, since our data is all about the heights of students. Our second column would be our class boundaries. The third column would be for the tally. Fourth column would be for the frequency. And the last column for the less than cumulative frequency. So in the first column, so first row, so we have to start with the smallest quantity, 120, then count starting from 120 until to the fifth number, so it gives us 120 to 124. So this 120 to 124, this will be our first class. Then followed by 125 to 129. Then followed by 130 to 134, 135 to 139, 140 to 144, and 145 to 149. So as you have noticed, we have come up with a total of 6 rows. So this also indicates our approximate number of classes, which we have computed a while ago, which is k. So k here is equal to 6. Therefore, we have come up here with 6 rows and 6 classes. So in this case, we have here the lower limit. So we have 120, 125, 130, 135, 140, 145. And our upper limit would be 124, 129, 134, 139, 144, and 149. For the class boundaries, so we will be using the lower limit 120 and subtract 0.05. Then for the upper boundary, we will be using 124, then add with 0.05. So we have here 119.5 to 124.5. Then for the next class boundary, so we will be using 125 minus 0.5. Then for our upper boundary, 129 plus 0.5. Then the rest will follow. So we have 129.5 to 134.5, 134.5 to 139.5, 139.5 to 144.5, 144.5 to 149.5. So in this case, we have the following lower boundaries. So the lower boundaries are the following. We have 119.5, 124.5, 129.5, 134.5, 139.5, and 144.5. So this will be our lower boundaries. Then for our upper boundaries, we have the following: 124.5, 129.5, 134.5, 139.5, 144.5, and 149.5. So after identifying the class boundaries, so we will now tally the given quantities. So we have to begin with 120 to 124. So we have to tally the quantities which belongs to 120 to 124. So let's go back to our given data a while ago. So this will be the heights of the 35 students. So we will consider quantities starting from 120, 121, 122, 123, and 124. And we have the following. 1, we have seen 124, followed by 120, then, so in the first class, we have tallied 2 quantities. So this will be our frequency 2. Then next would be quantities which belongs to 125 to 129. So we have 126, 127, 128, 126. So we have tallied a total of, we have 4 lines here, therefore the frequency here is 4. The next would be under 130 to 134. So we have 131, 133, 131, 134, 132, 130, 133, 131, 132, 132 is the last number. So in this case, we have tallied a total of 9 quantities. So this will be our frequency for this class. Then followed by, we have to tally quantities which belongs to 135 to 139. So we have 138, 136, 135, 136, 138, 137, 138, 139, 138, 136, 136, and 137. So we have tallied a total of 12 quantities under this class. Then followed by the quantities which belongs to 140 to 144. We have 141, 140, 142, 143, 140, 142, and 144. So we have tallied a total of 7 quantities under this class. Then, for the last class, which is 145 to 149, so we only have one, which is 146. So the frequency here is 1. So always make sure that the last class should contain the largest quantity of your data. Since our largest quantity is 146, therefore, it is under the last class, which is 145 to 149. So after tallying all these quantities, we have to add the frequencies. So the total frequency here is equal to 35, after which we will proceed to the last column, which is less than cumulative frequency. So we will begin with the frequency of our lowest class. So the lowest class here is 120 to 124. So the frequency is equal to 2. Therefore, we will begin with 2. So we have to copy 2. And this will be our CF for the first class. After which, we have to add 2 with 4 so that it becomes 6. Then 6 again, you add it with 9, so it becomes 15. 15 plus 12, it becomes 27. And 27 plus 7 is equal to 34. And 34 plus 1, it becomes 35. So as you have noticed, our CF, or less than cumulative frequency, for the last class is equal to 35. And it has also the same quantity or value of our total frequency, which is also 35. So in this case, we have to make sure that the less than cumulative frequency of our highest class should be equal to the total frequency of our data. And this is now our frequency distribution table on our given data. So we have here the title of the given data, the heights of 35 students. So we have here 5 columns. So this is now how we present the given data a while ago through the use of frequency distribution table. And this ends our lesson on the frequency distribution table. Thank you.